What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TK Wrestling. We're back in the building. We're going to be talking about some SmackDown. We're going to be talking about some Evolution match card rumors at the end of the show, and a little bit of some backstage, I don't want to call it heat, between The Rock and, some other people backstage about Cody Rhodes' role in the future. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But we are TK Wrestling. We're here, and first and foremost, going to be talking about SmackDown. We are on the road to Saturday night's main event. I mean, look, if nothing else, it at least feels like they're treating it like it deserves more high-profile matches, unless you're SmackDown or unless you're a tag team and you just can't make it onto the shows. The SmackDown tag team champions, to be exact, can't make it on WrestleMania, can't even make it on Saturday night's main event. But the night before, you better believe they're getting on that night before. So, Matt, first of all, how are you doing? Welcome in. How was SmackDown? Did you like SmackDown overall last night before we dive into it?
I think I did. I think SmackDown last night was one of the better episodes of SmackDown that we've had lately, But you're right. I mean, it's getting to the point, though, like I said, that by putting these championship matches, I'm for it. I'm for putting them on in a Raw or on a SmackDown. But now we've had, I feel like, a championship match, like 4 or 5, of them in between since WrestleMania. Like we had the women's tag team, we redid that one, and Liv and Raquel got it back on Raw. We've had that tonight we have Nia Jax, or last night we had Nia Jax and Tiffy. We got the next week we got Fraxium and the Street Profits.
Jey Uso and Seth Rollins.
That out of nowhere. So
didn't Dom defend on Raw like in between WrestleMania and Backlash at some point? I think he defended it like the night like the Raw right after WrestleMania.
So there you go. Look, I mean, we were talking, a couple days ago, and we're like, what's Saturday Night Main Event going to get? What are they going to get? And I'm like, man, you're going to get Tiffy and Nia. And you're like, no, not yet. And then what do we know? The next thing we know, it's Friday Night SmackDown, man. I mean, I'm not knocking it at all, but it's just I'm for it to a degree, but then at the same, I don't know, man. It's like, then what are the PLEs for? It's like, because I feel like when we're doing it that fast, I don't know if I needed a little bit more for Tiffy and Nia. I mean, we pretty much knew where they were at, and whatnot. But I kind of, I feel like that's kind of killing the buildup sometimes when you're having title matches in between PLEs, like yet again, going back to the whole Logan Paul, Jey Uso thing. Like, we haven't seen Logan and Jey at all, and we're getting them on Saturday night's main event. And I'm assuming Raw Monday night that we're going to get something from the two of them. But anyways, that all said, this episode of SmackDown, like I said, probably the best episode of SmackDown I've seen this year, maybe. Just I thought all around really good. I've got some questions for you as we go along, but no, overall, I really enjoyed this one.
Well, let's dive into it. So we're still dealing with a little bit of the fallout of Backlash, especially since Cena wasn't here, and we eventually did see the interview of R-Truth, which I really loved, by the way. We'll dive more into that in a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that did set up the Saturday night's main event match that we have coming up next Saturday. I do have to agree with you in terms of, like, it does feel like we're getting a lot of title matches, and maybe we're starting to question, like, especially like 2 weeks after what is probably considered a B tier pay-per-view in Backlash. Okay, so now we have basically a PLE on TV 2 weeks later. So I get what you're saying, but I'm also not saying you are.
I'm going to say it right now. And a damn fine title match last night, right in between that. I mean, look, right now, Saturday Night Main Event, that card seems like it's going to be a little stacked right now. We're gonna have the R-Truth Cena, we're gonna have Jey and Logan. We're gonna have that tag team match, so maybe it's a little stacked right now. And you didn't want Tiffy and Nia to get lost in the shuffle, but I feel like that match kind of deserved a PLE. If not last week, then Saturday Night Main Event, something.
I agree with you. We'll get there. I agree with you. But at the beginning of the show, I was surprised. We were both surprised a little bit that Solo Sikoa was the one to open the show.
Right.
And
Very surprised.
And not only surprised that Solo Sikoa opened the show, but that so at least to me up front initially, it felt like that I was a little reluctant to see Solo in his role when they made the entrance, because I was like, Solo doesn't feel like the guy in charge anymore. right? Maybe we got a little bit of that back to him at Backlash when he introduced who we now know as JC Mateo is going to be his name going forward, which I don't mind the name. I think that's cool. A little homage to Jeff Cobb, but gets the unique WWE spin so they can really merchandise their own stuff. But formerly known as Jeff Cobb, now known as JC Mateo in WWE. So that brought back a little of legitimacy for Solo as a leader to me. And I think this opening segment also did huge, like Friday Night SmackDown was the Solo Sikoa night. I feel like he saved his image going forward. And I feel like he really, really needed this night, because going forward, or for these last few months, really, ever since he lost to Ulafala in January, and it feels like the Ulafala match was just last week. That was 4 months ago, almost 4.5 months ago.
Yeah, no. So he's been largely absent until the last 2-3 weeks.
He's felt very stagnant, and it has felt like that Fatu has not only passed him by, but has maybe lapped him and taken his spot in his role. But you've seen this slow build back to glory for Solo at the top of this new bloodline. And I'm even feeling like there may be a new member by the end of the summer reintegrated into this group, if we don't see the Tongans back at least. But I feel like this did huge for Solo, because now, look, we all see the split, right? We all see what's happening. It's eventually going to be Jacob and Solo. But I think that the problem that a lot of us were having was we no longer felt like Solo was a legitimate threat to Jacob. And now the way that Solo came out and not only mocked Fatu to his face, but was not scared to do it. And you can argue that that was because now, with the Tongans being gone, he felt like there was no way he could beat Fatu one-on-one if he decided to step up and say something. And so now that he's got JC Mateo behind his back, he feels like he can pump up his chest a little more, and JC Mateo will probably have his back. But I felt like this was a really cool segment, and I really loved LA Knight coming out and, basically running these guys down. But in terms of what Solo said, he credited JC first for keeping the United States Championship in the family before Fatu. And then when Fatu didn't say, "I love you, Solo," the way that Solo wanted to hear it, there started to be a little bit of ridicule. And we started to see Solo kind of making fun of the Yaramin, you know what I'm saying? So I thought this was great for Solo, and I thought this was what was needed, because this breakup is happening soon. I don't know when exactly, but it's happening soon. And I felt like Solo really needed to re-legitimize himself for us to think that he is in any way a credible threat to Jacob Fatu.
Now, do you feel like just this promo re-legitimized him, or do you feel like then the Money in the Bank qualifying match solidified it? Without the Money in the Bank match, did Solo do enough to reestablish himself for you?
So, no, I think that the Money in the Bank match was also pivotal. I was just going to kind of layer that in eventually. But no, I think I'm with you on the first point. I think that this was the catalyst that sparked the fire that was the Money in the Bank qualifying win. And I don't know exactly, we have to wait and see who else is in the match to really get a feel for what Solo's chances are. But I thought there was no way Solo was winning that match, period. I thought that he was the last person I picked because of his build and how he's been booked these last few months. The win, and not only the win, but the dominating style in which he won kind of, made my ears perk up a little bit and say, oh, because I loved Solo last year during the summer. He was starting to show a little more of his character and a little more of his ferociousness. And then the Ulafala happened. And of course, there was no way he was beating Roman Reigns for that Ulafala. And I feel like it really was just like a fall from grace for Solo, but maybe it was by design. I don't know. But I feel like, let's skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, I think the Money in the Bank win, qualifying win was huge, and I think it was much needed for him. And again, I feel like this is the re-legitimization of Solo going into the summers. It's just a summer of Solo for these last 2 years, I guess.
I don't know. Like for me, the promo was heavy-handed. I kind of wanted more relationship. I feel like Solo's trying to get Fatu to leave, and if that's the case, then I need to know what his desire for that is. If he's not trying to, I don't feel like Solo's trying to have a cohesive unit here. You know what I mean? Like he's not trying to integrate JC Mateo and Fatu together. He seems perfectly fine to taunt Fatu, and I don't know why that's the way he wants to handle things. So I feel like it's a little heavy-handed that we all know they're going to break up. We just don't know when it's going to happen. or like probably for a second there we thought it might have happened last night. So that's just my thing. I wish they're playing it differently. I guess maybe.
Well, think about it like this, because you mentioned something about, you said something about Solo not really wanting to have a cohesive unit, right? But we kind of saw this with the downfall of Roman Reigns and how he lost his bloodline, right? At first, it was he and Jey Uso, and he made Jey Uso his right-hand man. And then it was the lesser members of the ranks that eventually broke the group from the inside out, and until it eventually resulted in its demise. And now you look at this new bloodline that Solo has. Fatu was not his right-hand man. That was Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga was his right-hand man. And then Tonga Loa got brought in. Fatu was the afterthought. And now to Solo, with his right-hand man down and the brother of his right-hand man down, it's the guy that maybe Solo didn't really want in the group, or at least he feels like doesn't deserve to have that belt on his shoulder, where now he can look at Solo and be like, you need to know your place. I don't care how big you are or how strong you are or how successful you are. This is my bloodline. And to prove to you that this is my bloodline, I brought in JC Mateo, because at the end of the day, Fatu is not Solo's right-hand man and never has been.
So do you think Solo would be just as happy if he did leave, in a sense?
I don't think it's the fact of wanting Fatu to leave. I think it's the fact of Solo trying to force his control, trying to show Fatu, this is not your group and you do not have a say here. You go where I say you go. You hold that championship when I say you hold that championship, because I brought in JC Mateo. You didn't keep that championship because of you. You kept that championship because of me. It's a manipulation tactic. And that's what it reads to me. And so I don't think it's him wanting Fatu out of the group. I think it's him wanting Fatu to know his place in the group.
Like I said, I just feel like it's just a little overplayed, or a little hammy for me.
Well, I think we're this close though. The fuse is about to blow. We're this close.
And I thought I was going to until LA Knight's music played.
Exactly. And I think the fact that we got that close shows me, I don't think they're going to make the same mistake they've made with Waller and Theory in terms of waiting too long to break them up. I think that they're going to capitalize on this, because what's the end game for Solo here, right? It's eventually to get him, or not Solo, but for Fatu, it's eventually to get this guy a solo run. And he's not going to do it in this group. He's not long for this group. He doesn't need this group. He can go off and do his own thing. And so I understand the fact that you feel like it's like maybe a little too much, or we've been waiting too long, but it's almost there. The patience is going to pay off soon.
So before or after, I feel like for sure Money in the Bank. Before Money in the Bank or at Money in the Bank?
I think it's at Money in the Bank. It could be I think it's going to probably be during the match or something like that. And who knows? Maybe Fatu also finds a way to qualify. Maybe he's also in the match, because even if he gets a qualifying match and doesn't win the match, they usually have like a last chance thing where they put all the people who didn't win their matches in one bigger match or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Fatu could be in that match, because it doesn't really feel like there's a direction for that U.S. title at this very moment. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Because especially with LA Knight, as of now, not being in the match, in the Money in the Bank match, there's a lot of question marks. So, I think the dissolution probably happens at Money in the Bank, or if not, the Riyadh show, the one in Saudi Arabia, maybe, because they love to do bloodline moves with the Saudi Arabia shows. I don't know what it is, but that's where Solo debuted. Actually, was in Saudi Arabia for the main roster for the previous iteration of the bloodline. So, to answer your question, Money in the Bank, yes, not before.
All right, next up, we got Alexa Bliss going for the Money in the Bank with Chelsea Green and Meechin. What were your thoughts on this one, man? Because I mean, we both in love with Alexa Bliss. So what else is there to say on this one?
Hey, Casey has loved Alexa Bliss since 2017. I'll put 2016 maybe, since she was the manager for Buddy and Murphy in NXT. How about that? With her little cheerleader gimmick. Anyways, yeah, I thought this was a fun match. Really happy to see Alexa Bliss back. I'm still wondering what's going to go on between her and Charlotte Flair, as we saw them kind of interact backstage. Right. And Alexa Bliss even kind of saying like, hey, look, when I was coming up, a lot of people didn't respect me, but you did. And Charlotte's like, yeah, I don't remember any of that.
Did I?
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. If you say so, kid. They gave the pat on the head. So I don't know. I thought it was really cool actually hearing Charlotte use Alexa Bliss's real name, calling her Lexi. That was really weird to hear. She said something about, all right, Lexi. And I was like, whoa, that was her. I think her real name's Lexi Kaufman. So it was weird to hear her say that. But in terms of the match, I mean, look, all three of these women can go in the ring. So it was going to be a great match. And I think that Chelsea Green is the perfect type of heel that thrives in triple threat matches. As we saw multiple times, she was taken out of the match and then sat on the side for a minute and then came in and got their spots done. All that. Look, I might get some heat here. I don't dislike Michin, but I just feel like what's her character? Is she just like a badass that wants to beat people up? Like, okay, I guess, but we've seen what happens to badasses that just want to beat people up. Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, they all come and go. So in terms of Michin, I really want to see some character depth for her. And maybe they're doing something with her and BFAB in terms of really developing a tag team there. But I just am not invested in Michin. And you can hear it in the crowd. She gets crickets every time she comes out. And I think she's an excellent in-ring worker. Like, she has shown us that she can do some great in-ring work. But in terms of her character and getting me excited for when she comes out, it's just not there for me. And that kind of takes away, because I almost feel like she's never going to win. And so I felt like there was no way she was winning this match, and I was right.
I mean, I'm with you. I think she's great in the ring. But where is she going? I don't know. That's, for a second, I thought she might win this match. And I'm like, well, you give her Money in the Bank. You can build off that. We can build something there, especially if she ends up beating Chelsea and Alexa. That does a whole bunch. I mean, Alexa winning is great because, yeah, it brings Alexa back into the picture. We're going to talk about her. She's going to be in it, and she's got stories that we're curious to see where they're going. Like, I think next week, Charlotte Flair has a Money in the Bank 3-way match as well. So if her and Charlotte both get in the Money in the Bank, that could be a really interesting sort of build right there and whatnot. But I was, for a second there, I was like, because I knew Chelsea Green wasn't going to win. I think we all knew Chelsea Green wasn't going to win, because it's more fun to watch Chelsea Green lose,
I think the overall internet theory was that most people wanted Chelsea to be in this match, and she might find Chelsea is beloved. She's one of the most popular wrestlers on the entire roster. Not men or women. In terms of internet wrestling community, she is one of the most beloved talents in the entirety of the WWE. So people wanted her to win the Money in the Bank last year. So I guarantee if you were to go and try to get the consensus of the internet, if that were ever possible, most people probably want her in the match. And look, again, she could still end up in it.
No, I definitely see her in it in if you said like in a middle little battle royale for the last spot or something. I could see Chelsea getting the spot that way. In fact, that's the most Chelsea Green way, in my opinion, to get one. So. But I knew Chelsea wasn't going to win this match, and I didn't know what Alexa was going to do, because Alexa also is somebody, if she didn't win this match, could win a battle royale and get in that way. So I was just curious, because Michin was even in this match. The fact that she was in this match had me just like, this could be an interesting, way to bring Michin's character out, have her in Money in the Bank. Because like you said, she's really great in the ring, and if you just get her on the mic and start talking some trash, I'm sure she can do that. But no, they just used her as the third folly, and it was fun watching her and Alexa beat up on Chelsea and then have to fight over who got to pin her, in a sense. So, but yeah, I mean, in the end, Sister Abigail takes the pin, and we're going to see Alexa go for Money in the Bank, which I think she's got a really good chance at winning.
Yeah, I think so too. And you talk about the build-up between Alexa and Charlotte going into Money in the Bank. I mean, what if as a peace offering, Alexa forgoes winning the match and lets Charlotte win it? What if they're both climbing the ladder, and instead of fighting, Alexa just backs off and lets Charlotte win the briefcase? I wouldn't personally do that as a competitor, but it may be really interesting storyline. Look, I actually thought that Chelsea Green, I wanted Alexa to win this match, and I think she's the best choice of the three. But I thought that maybe they were teasing a Alexa Bliss and Charlotte tag team to like legitimize that tag division, because the women's tag division on SmackDown is very sparse, and they let go of a lot of women recently off the main roster. So I thought maybe we were going for like this power duo of Alexa and Charlotte that was going to tackle the tag team scene. But Who knows? And we still could. That still could be a possibility. But that's why I thought maybe there was a chance that Alexa wouldn't win this and Chelsea would. So that way Chelsea could go into the match. Because how hilarious, her and her secret Hervis, how hilarious would it be if they're protecting the asset that is the Money in the Bank briefcase and they're transporting it around everywhere for her. They've got it in this everywhere they go, they're talking. It's top secret stuff. It would just be really funny TV because Chelsea Green is just hilarious. There is no one better at making themselves look foolish in a funny way than Chelsea Green.
Here's a question: Is the briefcase just symbolic, or after you win it, could somebody steal it from you?
So if it's yours, yours.
If somebody stole it from Chelsea and she didn't know where the briefcase was.
No, that could be like a storyline where it doesn't necessarily amount to anything, but now she's missed Money in the Bank and she doesn't have a briefcase to use to cash in. So now there could be these multitude of opportunities where she could have cashed in, but because she has her briefcase stolen, now she can't. And so it's even more comedic timing of oh my God, I should be cashing in right now, but I don't have my briefcase. And so then it starts this weeks long journey of looking for the briefcase until you finally find out who it is. And then she and Chelsea can have a match. And there have been instances where people have gotten the briefcase and then it was put on the line as a stipulation in a match down the line. Like Mr. Kennedy did it, I think in 2007. Where he lost it to Edge in a match a few weeks later or a month later or something. Otis won it during the pandemic at that Money in the Bank. And then whenever they realized, hey, we gave this guy the briefcase with no real plans of doing anything with him, they put him in a match against The Miz, and then The Miz got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he became WWE champion again. So we've seen it happen a few times. So I could see Chelsea Green getting it and maybe losing it in a match down the line. But in terms of someone stealing it, nah, they've never done that storyline wise. So it would be a first time thing if they were to do that and allow someone else to just cash it in.
Now I will say this though, the Charlotte Flair backstage stuff with Alexa Bliss, 1,000 times more interested in that than I was anything with Charlotte and Tiffy. 1,000 times more. 1,000 times. So
I have to agree with you. I have
no idea where it's going to go. Like I said, if it's some Money in the Bank thing, I don't think it's a tag thing, but you never know. But I'm just curious. I'm curious of this Charlotte. That's kind of I feel like she's like a waiting in the brush. She's gonna pop out. She's gonna bite somebody. We don't know who yet.
Yeah, and we still don't know the connection between her and the Wyatt Six, or when the Wyatt Six is coming back.
Oh right, yeah, no. If Alexa, or if she still is with the Wyatt Six,
Well, and the thing is she hasn't, ever since the Wyatt Six has come back. Alexa hasn't been here, so. Right. She's never been a part of that group.
Oh, she just had a part. She's just because of Bray.
Well, because because of her connection with Bray, she was in all that storyline stuff with Bray Wyatt, and even when she came back at the Rumble, her jacket said "Fiend Forever," I think, or something like that. So there is still the dots being connected, and she still got the doll, and the doll wasn't really integrated until she really started teasing the stuff with Bray. So there are still the signs that she may be involved with the Wyatt Six, and maybe that coincides with what you're saying about her finally reaching up from the grass and biting someone. Maybe that's all connected to her being integrated into the Wyatt Six if they ever come back, because we haven't seen them in months. So who knows? But I think that they should do the Wyatt Six stuff this summer. I think you got to capitalize on it.
We got to find out something. They've been quiet for too long.
They've been gone, and Bo. The thing was, Bo was hurt, and so you had to keep Uncle Howdy off of TV. But I feel like even with Bo being hurt, and maybe you just don't know the extent of the injury, so you don't want to whatever. But as far as I've heard, he's been healthy for at least a few weeks to 2 months now. And so I get if you don't want to bring him back in March, because then what are you going to build to at WrestleMania? But I feel like you also can thrive with Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas being the mouthpiece that have the Wyatt Six doing all the hard lifting for him while he's hurt. So you don't necessarily have to have Uncle Howdy or Bo Dallas in a match, because you have 3 perfectly good members, at least on the men's side, that can compete in the matches. You can build the storylines and make them interesting. And so I'm hoping that with Alexa coming back, maybe we see she and Nikki Cross, who's in the Wyatt Six, back as a tag team, because they've been tag team champions together. So there's all these dots that connect, but we have to start connecting them, WWE. It's got to happen. All right, up next, we got Fraxium versus DIY. Fraxium has been on a tear ever since they got to the main roster, as you and I have talked about before. This match was excellent. We have the spot in the match where we don't know if it was inadvertent or if it was actually timed, where Gargano kind of tripped Axiom off the rope.
The rope thing, yeah.
Yeah, and if nothing else, if it was on purpose, excellent spot. If it was inadvertent, they did a really good job shaking back from it and keeping the match going at a regular tempo and regular pace. It was a really fun match. It was basically the exact match. I can't predict matches, but this is what I expect out of Fraxium and DIY when you put them in the ring together. This is 101, the type of match that I expect them to have, and it was fantastic. Fraxium gets a huge win over DIY. I think they're undefeated on the main roster up to this point. And as we find out, they're going to get a tag match next week. Instead of Saturday night's main event, we're going to get a tag match on the night before the big event, just like WrestleMania. And I promise you, in terms of in-ring action and actual in-ring work, this match is going to be better than the tag match we see on Saturday. So
yeah, it will be.
The tag match on Saturday has a storyline. I get it. That's why it's there.
Storyline wise, yeah, but when it comes to pure action,
this match is going to bang,
Fraxium and Street Profits going to be just all over the place.
Yeah. Well, what did you think about Fraxium and DIY?
I mean, this like you said, it was a great match. This was exactly what we wanted. DIY came out there, looked really strong, showed off their strengths. I really love this match because it showed both sides really well. I think it highlighted both sides really well. You know, he didn't come out here and just let Fraxium run all over him because you knew they're the hot ticket. You let DIY do their thing. Looked really strong for a while there. He had to get another funny pin. You know, we're talking about that Alexa Bliss pin, or not the Alexa Bliss. I mean, the Lyra Valkyria pin, you know, on the man, you know, like this was another one of those quick pins, you know, kind of just a quick roll up, but at the same time, just a fun match all the way over, you know, and then we had the shenanigans after the match as well. And we had the Motor City Machine Guns running out to make the save, which that, you know, kind of surprised me. I know DIY and MG hate each other, but still, just, you know, it's like, does everybody love Fraxium?
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm glad that you pointed out the funny pin because last week, as we saw, you know, they got the win over the champs because of other outside factors. You know, they didn't get a win over the champs who were 100% healthy.
Right.
And so it was an impromptu match off the champs that just came out of a grueling TLC match. And so, yeah, they beat the champions, but how healthy were they? And like, yeah, they beat DIY, but was it a fluke? And so now you have their match against the champs next week against the Street Profits. And I'm pretty positive Street Profits are probably going to retain. Right, I'm just curious on the other side of this. Are we going to get like, I don't know if it's going to be like a heel Motor City Machine Guns, but is it going to be like a, hey, look, you guys are basically us 20 years ago. Like you were what we guys were a long time ago. And yeah, we don't want you stepping on our feet now that we're finally here in the WWE. And it could be something like, or it could just be a show of respect. Maybe we're just going to match between them 2 or 3 weeks down the line. I don't know, man. I just feel like I wish they wouldn't have burned the TLC match on the SmackDown. And again, I know we talked about it's probably not possible because you already have a men and women's Money in the Bank match. But like, man, I just wish we could see a tag team Money in the Bank match because we have so many good teams on SmackDown that you could easily fill it. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, DIY, the Street Profits. You could do Pretty Deadly. You could do Miz and Carmelo Hayes. There are so many teams on SmackDown. And we even saw a little bit of a tease last night between Michin and B-Fab, where Michin kind of implied that if she won that briefcase, she was going to cash it in at a shot at the tag titles for her and B-Fab.
She did. Yeah, no.
So I think maybe not this year, but I think maybe WWE might be warming us up to the idea of a tag team Money in the Bank match eventually. Because look, dude, we have so many, and if you got to spice up the tag team division, that could be one way to do it. And I kind of love the idea of a tag team running around with Money in the Bank briefcases anyways, but I don't think that it's necessarily that. I think for this, what your question about, does everybody just love Fraxium? Maybe, but maybe that's going to be what allows Fraxium to start stacking up these wins, and what turned into, oh, we got to help these plucky young bloods out, to being like, well, maybe these guys are a little better than we anticipated and we shouldn't give them any slack. maybe we should treat them like regular members of the roster because they're beating us. They're winning matches. And if we turn away too long, all of a sudden they're going to be champions. And so who knows? Maybe Fraxium becomes champions really fast, and that puts a huge bullseye on their back and makes them the plucky underdogs that maybe graze the lines, of heel and face for like a Motor City Machine Guns or a Street Profits. Maybe it's like they're not necessarily heel, but maybe they're a little pissed off that these young guys came in and got these titles so quick, and they're gonna go and teach them a lesson. So I don't know where it's going, but I love the web of tag teams that we have going on right now in SmackDown. I love it.
I want to see Fraxium and Ray Phoenix and Penta.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, dude, that'd be, man. Who knows? Maybe later down the line for Survivor Series, maybe we get Raw versus SmackDown again, and maybe by that point, Fraxium and the Lucha Brothers are tag champs on their respective brands, and we can get them going up against each other. I'd love that. All right, so you got to stop flipping the phone though, or flipping that. Sorry, Matt's trying to deafen you guys' eardrums. All right, up next we get Aleister Black versus Carmelo Hayes.
You want to do the R-Truth thing first, or when you want to do the R-Truth Cena thing?
Oh, I thought that was I was sorry, I was reading the review and didn't see if it was before or after this. But yeah, R-Truth has to we'll talk about that after, since I've already started. Aleister Black, Carmelo Hayes ended in a no contest. And look, I think that we're going to see these guys eventually again, especially with Carmelo Hayes standing on top, which I was really surprised to see Carmelo Hayes standing tall with a returning, Aleister Black still re-legitimizing himself. But I like that they're not doing it at the expense of Carmelo Hayes. I thought this was really good. I thought that Carmelo Hayes standing tall is really just what am I trying to say? I think this is a good way to dampen the impact of when he does inevitably lose to Aleister Black, because he already stood tall once, and now we have to take him as at least a little bit of a threat, but Aleister Black is probably going to win their next match. Yeah, I thought it was a good match until it ended. So what did you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, we just had this match, I mean, I'm not sure, I don't know what we're doing with Aleister Black. I'll tell you what came up later in the night that got me really excited was the Shinsuke Nakamura promo, where it's him, Aleister Black, and LA Knight for the Money in the Bank next week, I guess. And I go, man, I kind of want to see Shinsuke and Aleister Black go at it. I love that idea. So like, you just went ahead and I don't feel like the Miz and Carmelo fit with Aleister Black. I don't know what the storyline's doing. At first I thought, the Miz is wrestling Aleister Black to get him back. He's the guy to get him back in. That's great. But then they like created like this rivalry out of nowhere, and it's like there's a lot of talking going on, it's like is anybody cut a promo really even on this?
On what?
I mean, like, has either Aleister Black or Carmelo or the Miz even like cut a promo, on this?
I mean, I'm sure, I can't recall off the top of my head, but they have at least had vignettes that play. Like Aleister Black has talked about both of them, and I think they both.
I thought he was talking about more like, wrestlers in general, like I'm going to.
I think last week he addressed Carmelo Hayes in like a vignette or whatever. But again, I'm not too sure, but I also don't think this is meant to be much of a long-term thing. I think that he's going to beat Carmelo Hayes one time, and then that'll probably be the end of it. But I think you're right about the Shinsuke stuff. I do think that that's the next move for Aleister Black.
It's just been the last 3 SmackDowns. I mean, like I said, the first one was the Miz, and then you, like I said, beat Carmelo last week, and then I was like, why are we wrestling Carmelo again this week? I needed something. I needed something to give me a reason, like Carmelo even getting on the mic at the beginning of SmackDown or something like that. And cutting a promo, and then we got the match later, kind of like what happened with LA Knight and JC Mateo. I mean, I guess, and like I said, now we're destined to get Carmelo Aleister Black Part 3. And yeah, so I don't know what this is doing for Carmelo, because if Carmelo loses that match, it doesn't help him out. And if Aleister Black wins, anyways, I'm uncertain about the purpose of these matches, I guess. I enjoyed it, thought it was a good match, but the best part was the Miz coming out at the end and causing the DQ. And then, as you said, Carmelo standing tall at the end. That was really the best part, was the quote unquote post match for me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. For me, this was kind of my least interesting match of the night for me.
Yeah, like I said, I think that leading to it, let's not forget, we got a 7-match series between Andrade and Carmelo at one point.
Right.
So
maybe Carmelo's just the guy that you run long series against. I don't know.
He's
we didn't talk about we did, because I see like on my list the Drew McIntyre response. We didn't talk about the Damian Priest promo yet, but that's another one that's going on. I don't know how many matches we've got between those guys now, but that feels like it's going on like round 7.
Well, that was one match you whenever you were referencing Saturday night's main event. Well, let me get to that in a second because let's finish up the Miz and Carmelo. Miz, Carmelo, and Black. I think that this is almost done. Black probably has one more match against Carmelo Hayes, and then I think that's it. I think they're done if they even have one more. But here's the thing: with the triple threat match happening next week, I could see maybe Carmelo Hayes costing him the triple threat match or something like that, because there's no way in my brain that they leave it done with Carmelo standing over Aleister Black. There's no way in my brain they leave it done like that.
No, I mean, no, they're obviously trying to build something, but I just feel like there's been a lack of promos in a sense specifically directed. You know,
Aleister Black is also not a talker. You know, he's not a guy that's going to come. If he's going to come out to the ring, he's going to get on a mic, sit with the lights down low, literally sit in the middle of the ring, and he's going to say some like dark brooding stuff.
Right. But the Miz is a talker.
Well, the Miz has been, you know, we see backstage segments from them multiple times in SmackDown. So that's where they're getting a lot of build. You're not going to see a lot of like cookie cutter 80s wrestling style promos where they're going to give people 20 minutes and a mic. That happens at the top of shows and at the top of hours, you know, and it's very limited mic time as well. And with Cena not there, with Cody not there, with Drew not there, there's not a lot of people that you're desperate to throw on the mic. So you're going to focus a lot more on the in-ring stuff and the backstage stuff. But let's talk about the R-Truth interview with Wade Barrett. I thought this was fun. And I love that Truth is still keeping this, like, you know, he's still my hero, but I love the line that he dropped where he was like, if I have to give him a beating and remind him of who he is, I'll do it. I don't want to, but I'll do it. And when he said that, I think the internet like accumulatively was like, really? Okay. Now I'm a little more interested, because at least you're not saying like, I don't hold it against him, but I guess I'll have a match. And he's like, nah, this is not the John Cena I know. Like I can acknowledge as his biggest fan and as his biggest believer that this is not the guy that I have idolized in this business, and I'm going to show him who he is again. And I do think that this is going to be the first domino to fall in the redemption arc of John Cena in terms of like getting back there. You can argue that Backlash was the first domino after the match, where he was really emotional, and you could tell that maybe this isn't where he wants to be at this point in the run. And so I think that we also may be accelerating the babyface turn. I think that we may be seeing it sooner than we initially may have thought. And so I think that he's going to beat R-Truth, obviously. But I think that the impact that this is going to have on the story is going to be way bigger than the match ever was thought to have been. So I think that this, again, you can argue maybe Backlash was like somebody blowing the domino over, and this is the domino actually falling to get us back to babyface John Cena before he retires, because you thought he was emotional after. Imagine if they let him really put the acting skills on, and he's like, and it pains him to do this to R-Truth. What if he cries while he's doing this to R-Truth, man? Like, I feel like it's going to tug a lot of heartstrings Saturday night in that match. But I loved this little interview with Wade Barrett, and I thought this was really good for R-Truth to, again, establish himself to be at least somewhat of a threat on Saturday.
Hey, man, this is Superman 3. All right. So I don't know if you're familiar with Superman 3.
Make the connection for us.
But that's where he fights himself. Yes, I mean, and it's the one great scene maybe in Superman 3, because the rest of the movie is kind of, you know, up and down, left and right. But it's the most memorable movie when Superman goes heel, and Superman has to fight Superman to get Superman back to being Superman. And that's kind of what I see, you know, from that, because that interview, that was R-Truth being maybe the most serious I've seen him ever. You know, like he was very, you know, this isn't a joking matter. Like you said, I'm going to whoop Cena back into Cena, you know? And I think you're right. I think everything you said is dead on. Something's going to break as Cena's beating the crap out of R-Truth, you know? And after he pins him, there's probably going to be a hug in the middle of the ring or whatever, like a long hug, you know? And like, if you could imagine Like in a movie, we'd see like the dark shadow like falling off of Cena as that hug happened and pulling off into the corner of the mat and infecting somebody else. And maybe Cody Rhodes comes out and it sucks into his hand, and that's he gets the darkness. I don't know.
Now, I want to ask you too, if we do see some sort of like what may seem like a break in character for Cena, or what may seem like a little bit of the light, you know, like think of it as Anakin, right? Before he went completely dark. Mm-hmm. Think of it as like this is a little bit of like the light fighting the dark. Could we see somebody come out like a Travis Scott, or I don't even want to say his name, but Dwayne? Could we see somebody come out to like shut that shit down immediately and say, hey, remember your goal, remember what we're doing here, and maybe they beat down R-Truth, you know? Or maybe Travis Scott's music hits and he comes out and he like encourages Cena. Fiend. Oh my God. Maybe he comes out and he's like, nah, man, like I get where you're coming from, but you gotta beat him up. And then painfully through the pain, Cena remembers what the goal is and still beats up R-Truth. But it's already happened. The seeds have already been planted. The domino has already fallen. He just pushed the light into the corner. And the light's still there. It's not done fighting, but he pushed it away temporarily. So I don't know. We could see something like that.
I can see that, but I can see like Travis Scott coming out trying that, and then Cena hits him with an attitude adjustment, and that's full back baby face.
You think that we get Cena fully babyface as soon as next week?
I think we do. I think we do.
Wow. Okay.
Like I said, I mean, otherwise, why are you having this R-Truth match? It's the only reason to have this match is that because you could do this match at any time. You didn't even have to do this match for Saturday Night Main Event. Like I said, Saturday Night Main Event already has some good matches, and you could have put Tiffy and Nia Jax there, and it would have been a great card. Tiffy and Nia, Jay and Logan, that tag team match, and find a couple other matches or whatever. Yeah, already a great card. So the only reason that you're doing this Cena R-Truth thing is that you're bringing Cena back, like you said. He's going back, baby. So that's my feeling, you know.
Well, there are a lot of rumors that Cena, you know, his ultimate goal is to ruin wrestling, right? There's a lot of rumors that Cena might try to force his way, even as champion, to the Money in the Bank match, and maybe become like. Could you imagine him with the?
That he gets.
Could you imagine him with the championship carrying around the Money in the Bank, and now he's like, "All right, Jey Uso, watch your back." Because I'm coming for both of them. It's not good enough to be 17. I want to be 18, and I want to carry both of them at the same time. I want to take both titles with me when I leave. You know, do I think Cena's getting in the Money in the Bank match? No, I don't. I think it's like a 0.05% chance that it could actually happen. But at the same time, we have also seen a Money in the Bank match where Brock Lesnar was not in the match, and right before someone was about to win, his music hit, he ran down and pulled the briefcase down, and they let it happen. So
look, I'll tell you what, if we're wrong and Cena, or if you're right about Cena not, you know, like going through and just beating R-Truth and remembering he's still a heel, then the Money in the Bank thing could happen. You know,
it could, but they could also be burning this match again, because I think this is just a step in the ultimate bigger storyline. I think this is just like I said, the first domino, but I think that maybe there's a bigger plan for a championship match in terms of at Money in the Bank. Maybe we see the Randy Orton rematch at Money in the Bank. Who knows? We could see Randy Orton get another shot, and maybe that happens. Maybe Cena loses to Randy Orton at Money in the Bank, loses the title, and out of desperation forces his way into the Money in the Bank, so that way he can try to be champion again. And he carries the briefcase around forever, always teasing. And then maybe that is the trigger that flips Cena over, is whenever he's finally ready to cash in, there have been these moments that have led us to the point of him going back to baby. And he's just like, maybe he cashes in on whoever the world champion is at some point, and he's like, I'm not cashing this in right now. I'm cashing this in for my last match. So whenever my last match is, I want it to be for the title. And that can be his honorable way of beginning his last match that he should inevitably lose. He should not leave as champion. He should lose. And I think that's eventually where we're going. And now with even more rumors coming out that Cena never wanted to be heel and that he was really kind of pushed into it and kind of coerced into it, kind of makes me feel like maybe as soon as SummerSlam, he could be really back to the light side. But I don't think it's as early as you think, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so let's move on. Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, Rey Fenix, triple threat for the next Money in the Bank qualifying match. Before that, Drew McIntyre came to the ring, gave a promo about facing Damian Priest next week inside a steel cage. So we're getting the steel cage match. Sorry, my
And you might have missed this because you went to go get dinner. Priest came on earlier, or Priest cut a promo earlier.
Yeah, it was a vignette, right? Just a video promo.
Yeah, video promo. Yeah, asking for a steel cage match, and Drew came out and responded. I think Drew actually might have lost character for a second there. Did you see where it looked like he laughed?
No, I didn't.
When you get a chance, go back and watch the promo again. And
okay.
It looks like when he's saying his name, like maybe he was going to say the wrong last name. Like, I don't know. Is Drew McIntyre's last name not really McIntyre? Maybe not. You know, I guess I'd have to look that up. I should know these things. But yeah, no, I think he almost stumbled during his promo for a second. He caught it. Nobody was probably, conscious of it but me. But yeah, no, it seemed like he might have stumbled there for a second. But yeah,
I'll have to go look into it. But yeah, go ahead.
But no, look. God bless America. This has to be the last one, right? I mean,
yeah, this is the blow off. This is it.
This has got to be it because this feud's fun and everything, but I don't know where it's going. Like it just keeps going and going. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It's like, dude, I get you can go forever, but where are you going, dude? Do you have a destination? And I just don't know what the destination for these, because now that them are it's like they just keep screwing each other out of championships. It's like watching like watching Wile E. Coyote. He just keeps blowing himself up. It's like, dude, you're never going to catch the Roadrunner. So
yeah, I thought this was done at Backlash, and even with with the table spots, especially them using the fact that Drew got hurt, Damian lost a tooth. I thought they were like,
did he lose the tooth?
Apparently one broke. I don't know if he lost the whole thing, but I think one broke. Yeah. But and then Drew smacking his head on the floor kind of hard.
Right.
I thought maybe they were like, oh my God, that was so intense that they could not possibly do more harm to each other. Like, that's it. They're done. But I also see the like, no, you did some crazy damage to me and now I got to get my get back. And so this has got to be it. This is it.
I can see the need after Backlash that they needed to have one more. But I mean, like now it gets to the point. It's like, all right, let's pull swords out. One of y'all got to kill the other one, because this ain't ever going to end.
And Drew's got a sword. He used to come out with it all the time. So, but no, and I know this is not indicative of real life storytelling, but something that I also thought was really funny when I heard they were doing the steel cage match, I was like, okay, this is definitely it for them. Is in WWE 2K, the game. Whenever you play the My GM mode, steel cage matches get you a high rating because they end storylines. So whenever you have two characters like at their absolute peak, the rivalry can't be any hotter, you throw them in a steel cage match and your ratings go crazy, because that's the end of the rivalry. It automatically ends the rivalry, and it like capitalizes off the peak of it. And that's exactly what's happening in real life. They're going to use this steel cage match. And I think that also, look, this is me speaking from a personal standpoint as somebody who did not grow up in that era and doesn't even necessarily love that era of wrestling. Please, WWE, please give us the blue steel cage that Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy wrestled in. I want that so bad. If you're playing on the vintage and the throwback and the lineage of WWE, and you're going to use that for Saturday night's main event, give us a throwback steel cage. Why not? Give us the authentic feel that these two guys hate each other, because that blue steel cage is synonymous with Hogan and Bundy. And if you give us that, look, WWE is all about history and lineage and moments. And what better way to do a callback to that blue steel cage than to maybe give this new perception of the blue steel cage is now linked to Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. So I'm all about it. Give us the blue steel cage. I want to see it.
They're going to make it purple.
Do that too. I don't care. Just make it interesting and make it unique. Make Saturday night's main event its own thing. Make it a mini spectacle that you have to tune in to see, especially if you're putting it on TV. Like if you're broadcasting on NBC, make it to where it's like, man, I maybe I don't have Peacock and I can't watch all the PLEs, but like if nothing else, Saturday night's main event is really fun. I can throw that on with my kid. I want to see the blue steel cage, but just have fun with it. All right, an impromptu match. You get JC Mateo in his debut against LA Knight. Didn't see this coming, and more importantly, didn't see a win coming for Mateo this early. I like that he won. I like that we're establishing this really early on, but very surprised to see LA Knight all of this beef, like to keep it going with these guys. and then to eat the pin after eating the pin at Backlash. So this is just, and then not even, who knows if he's going to even be in the Money in the Bank match. I think that LA Knight should be the Money in the Bank winner eventually, and maybe that's why he's losing a lot now, so that way whenever he lose, and then he wins the Money in the Bank, and now we're excited for like what he could do to capitalize off of all these losses that he's recently had. But I mean, I don't hate this, but it does kind of play to the funny narrative that Nick Aldis never has a plan when he comes to Friday Night SmackDown. He just throws matches together on the fly because he doesn't ever have matches planned out. Whereas Adam Pearce on Monday Night Raw is letting people know the night before. So that's just a funny trope that people have, is Nick Aldis is just a bad boss who never has matches planned for the night. But I like seeing JC in the match. Weird that he was in street clothes. I don't know if he's going to wrestle in street clothes all the time, if this is just like his attire. But yeah, what did you think about this little thrown together match?
I'm with you on a lot of the things about LA Knight. It's like, I don't know why he's taking these pins. I'm surprised he's taking these pins. I thought the match, like I said, it looked really good. It showed, not only did it show the strength of JC Mateo, but that like standing backflip he did to hit LA Knight again. I don't know what it's called. Just like a standing moonsault.
Yeah, he went into the pin, and then right when he kicked out, it was like not even a second thought. But yes, standing moonsault right into it.
I mean, my God, man, these guys are athletic. These big dudes are athletic. That was incredible. So I mean, so if it wasn't for that move, I would say JC Mateo just showed that he's all strength, because a lot of his moves are very much strength oriented. But that showed, that he's got that capability like Fatu's got, where he's doing those crazy backwards, third rope moonsaults or whatever, So look, I mean, like I said, the thing I'm most, stunned by is just that LA Knight's eating these pins, the last couple of weeks, especially with as much as it feels like he's been getting over. So maybe you're right. Maybe next week he will come out of that Money in the Bank match with Shinsuke and Aleister Black as the guy, and go on and win Money in the Bank. And maybe that's how he maneuvers himself into the main title card scene. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know, what LA Knight's, or why it feels like his trajectory was going up, and now it feels like in the last couple of weeks it's been going down. So just a little surprised by that.
I'm hoping that this is just the come down from the United States Championship reign. Like we're maybe letting LA Knight organically get over with the crowd, even though he already was. But you've heard the reactions for him. It's getting louder and louder and louder. The crowd loves him. Yeah. And so we're letting him organically build in the background. So that way, whenever he does win Money in the Bank and he does cash in, these are going to be like, because let's keep in mind, LA Knight has never been world champion on the main, like in WWE. He's barely been in the WWE. He hasn't been here that long. So I think that they are really, you're cooking, right? Your water's boiling, but at some point you got to turn it down and let it simmer. And I think that's kind of what we're doing. We're keeping the flame on LA Knight, but we're going to let him simmer in the background for a while the audience shows us that we want him even more and that we want him to win. And then I think by WrestleMania, there's a good chance that LA Knight could be world champion. I really think there's a good shot that he could win Money in the Bank and cash in and be world champion. So, but let's switch over to someone who is world champion. Tiffy time.
Well,
Tiffy is. I'm getting there. Tiffy time. Tiffy is defending against Nia Jax tonight, but on the way out, she's stopped by Jade Cargill. And stopped by Jade Cargill, they have their little back and forth moment. Did you see who was standing in the back, Matt?
Oh God, no! Who was standing in the back?
You have to go and find the scene, but in the backstage like area or whatever, Naomi walks in and just glares from the background. And so with that, with the Jade integration and with the Naomi still keeping, her hat in the ring, I'm just feeling like this Fatal 4-Way is even more and more likely going to happen. And even more and more, I think Naomi's got to be the girl to take it. But is that what you were going to address? Were you going to address the Jade thing?
I was going to say we got to talk about the solo Jimmy Ray match first.
Oh, you're right. We've been
bouncing around because of promos. Promos throw us off.
Yeah, we bounced around because of promos. That's right. Well, yeah. So we'll switch that around. Let's see.
You want to finish with that then?
We did kind of talk about the solo match earlier.
I mean, we have to a degree. We haven't not talked about it. I just want to talk about poor Ray Phoenix for a second. I mean, whereas Penta's gotten all this love on Raw, Ray feels like he's eating pins left and right.
Well, I mean, I guess Penta's gotten a lot of love, but at the same time, it's like, what has Penta won lately?
Oh,
You know, what has he done lately?
Lately he's been dropping matches.
Penta's got a lot of wins over Chad Gable and other members of the Judgment Day, maybe.
Right.
But I think that we talked about this earlier in the week. I think that we're just on the crash course for the Lucha Bros. And I never thought that Ray was going to win this match. I really didn't. I would have loved if Ray won this match.
How about the miss pin? How about the miss pin in this match?
That was weird. But sometimes I guess
I've never seen a referee like miss a pin because he's watching another guy land a move. Like he was just watching Jimmy. Like, Jimmy, you didn't sprain your ankle, did you? You know,
right?
So
WWE is getting creative with these little spots, and some of them are going to stick, some of them are going to look weird. There was also like a where he was counting, the ref was counting, and I think it was this match, but he got pulled out of the ring. And when he got pulled out of the ring, he still slapped the mat for the 3 count. And it was like, so are we not counting that? Because he did hit the pin was still active and he did count it. But no, I thought that Jimmy was going to win this, to be honest with you. I thought Jimmy was the guy. And not to say that I thought Jimmy was going to win Money in the Bank, but where does Jimmy go? You know, and at least Ray Phoenix, I said earlier in the week that I felt like Ray didn't really have a direction to go, but at least Ray kind of has the stuff going on with Andrade. So he's at least got a direction to go. But what the hell happens with Jimmy? I don't really know where Jimmy goes, unless he's maybe going to go after the U.S. title at some point and be a singles champion. But I thought Jimmy was the guy here. Not saying that I hate Solo winning, but
it's on the flip side. If Solo doesn't win, we don't know where Solo's going. You know, so
I mean, at least even with Solo, I feel like there's still that crash course for Fatu. With Jimmy, I don't know what's going on at all. I don't have any direction for Jimmy going forward. And the WWE draft is coming up. Maybe you shake it up and send Jimmy over to Raw. You don't necessarily have to tag him and Jay together because Jay's world champion, but you could at least have that dynamic of him being on the same show with Sammy and Jay. And there's a lot of things that you could throw in there. And maybe, just maybe if Jimmy does go over to Raw, we see a little bit of a Karrion Kross kind of, hey, you know, it's not really fair that you're the only brother that's never been a world champion, you know? And how great would it be if you got to beat your brother like the good old days, your little brother, the one that you're a few minutes older than? What if you get to beat him like the good old days for that world championship? And what if that's where we see the seeds that Karrion Kross plant finally bloom into Karrion Kross taking down Jey Uso? He's turned everybody that Jay loved dark. They're all gone. And Jay has nobody. Like Sammy was the guy to fall back to. And if Sammy goes dark, and then you turn Jimmy dark again against Jay, it could be the ultimate downfall of Jay. And I'm kind of all for like a revitalized Jey Uso, because I get he's over, but how over is a Jey Uso on the other side of a world championship loss? How much does he start to get in his own head and really change that character? But in terms of this match, I thought it was good. I thought if this is the direction they're going with Solo to re-legitimize him for a shot at Fatu, I love it. And I like that he won the match. Anxious to see what happens with him at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, no, look, I'm with you. I didn't think Ray was going to win this one. I'm just more surprised that Ray's been eating the pins, you know. But I didn't know who to take from this one. I actually thought Solo, after he came out, like I said, to begin the show, I thought Solo was going to get this, and he did. But it seemed like, all 3 of these guys in some ways are somewhat directionless right now. You know, like Solo's got the bloodline thing, but he's got to legitimize it. This helps legitimize it. Jimmy, Jay's brother. That's like the only thing he's got going right now. And Ray, he's kind of got the Andrade thing, kind of got the other luchadors in SmackDown with Escobar and whatnot, you know.
Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah. But I mean, that's new, so we'll see where that goes. Yeah, good for Solo.
Yeah, good for Solo. We talked a little bit about Solo early on, so. But yeah, main event, Tiffany Stratton put the World Heavyweight title, the Women's World Championship against Nia Jax. Look, dude, I think the general consensus online and between people we've talked to is that this was a great match. This was really fun.
This was painful, man. There's been probably a couple wrestlers since I started watching who've really like changed my thoughts about them. And Tiffany Stratton is one of them. Because when she came out, it was always like, I don't feel like it's Tiffy time anymore. Tiffy time seems way too cute for the kind of wrestling she's been doing lately. You know, she's been winning some ugly, tough matches. Between that one with Charlotte, where it looked like she got lost a tooth or something or whatever, you know, happened. We still don't know for sure, you know, what happened there. You know, but her teeth didn't look right at the end of that match. And then this match, my God, she took so much punishment from Nia Jax, dude. Nia, there was one, she hip busted her head into one of the corner poles. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how you make that hurt less than what it probably really hurts. Then to right before the finish, Tiffy's trying to pull Nia off the top rope, only to have Nia just land right on her, dude. I mean, come on. I thought that was it. And then Tiffy got a hand on the rope to break the 3 count. But I thought that was it, So and then for Nia to take the bump with the chair, and not only to take it, but to get a gash out of it, and be bleeding, so much more. This did for Tiffany Stratton's championship what Becky did for Lyra's championship at Backlash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. And whenever they initially went on, I thought this match was going to feel rushed and was not going to feel great, because I think they started with less than 15 minutes to the end of the show. And I really thought this was going to be a detriment to them. But man, they went out there and they put on a fantastic match. And like you said, Tiffany took a beating. She really sparked the comeback. I thought the spot where she was trying to pull her down and was trying to powerbomb her, and then Nia sat, that was actually a callback to Nia's match against Lyra Valkyria for the Queen of the Ring last summer. And so that's how she beat Lyra Valkyria to win the Queen of the Ring. Lyra was trying to powerbomb her, and then she just sat on her from that rope, and then that's how she won. So that was a nice little callback and a cool spot, and I legit thought that was it. I thought she was gonna pin and be champion again. I was shocked. Like you said, the rope grab from Tiffy at the last second was just fantastic. It's something that is so commonly used that you think about all the time, that in that moment, I didn't even think there was a possibility she was going to reach over and grab the rope.
Right.
99.9%, my brain was like, yeah, that's it. She just won the title back. And then you see the Naomi running out, and Jade Cargill getting involved to get Naomi out of there. Again, I just feel like this is a fatal 4-way waiting to happen, and it's got to be at Money in the Bank, in my opinion. And I think I have Naomi winning that, but man, I think Tiffany has looked great as champion post WrestleMania. She got over the Charlotte Flair stuff and came out of that looking like a star, even when it kind of looked like, I don't want to, fuel any speculation, but it looked like Charlotte maybe was dead weighting a little bit and sandbagging. And now on the other side of it, she's been good on the promos. She's been good in the ring. And this match was excellent. And I don't know, I hate to see Tiffany lose it, but I just feel like Naomi is equally as hot in her character run. So maybe it's not in this fatal 4-way, but it just screams to me that Naomi could win it there, because you could have it to where she doesn't have to eat the pin to lose the actual title. So, but again, at the same time, maybe it increases the legitimacy for Naomi even more if she just beats Tiffany in a one-on-one match. So I could see this going anyway. I still think Naomi's your women's champion next. But yeah, dude, you talk about winning somebody over. I think you're not the only one. I think Tiffany is winning some people over. Shout out to our boy Thunder. Let me tell you what he said, because I told you, I kind of alluded to this earlier. Mm-hmm. Our boy Thunder, he said, I'm about to make the weirdest statement all year. He said that Nia carried Tiffany to a banger of a match last night. But I don't know, man. I don't feel like necessarily anybody carried anybody. I felt
they were both on it last night. I felt,
I feel like they have perfect chemistry.
I mean, it was really solid, a really good match. And I was just stunned by the amount of damage that Tiffany could take, because Nia was Samoan dropping her on the announcing table. Like I said, ramming her head into the corner post, sitting on her. And that's just, Tiffy's not a big girl, so it'd be different if it was two Nias going at each other and that was happening. So just the amount of punishment it looked like Tiffany took last night, I was impressed by that. And then to get off two of the prettiest moonsaults ever, not one, but two, look, it was just that's the best match I think I've seen Tiffany Stratton wrestle, maybe, or the most entertaining match I've seen her wrestle. So
yeah, and we'll have to go back and watch some of her NXT stuff, because she was cooking in NXT when she was down there. Yeah, and shout out to Nia Jax. I used to be a huge Nia Jax critic, and ever since they brought her back, I think she's been amazing. She's been much better in the ring. Her promo work has been great, and I really feel like she has come into her own as one of the top women's competitors, not just on SmackDown, but in the whole company. Nia Jax sparks me as someone that if we do have a draft, I wouldn't be shocked if she gets shaken up and moves to Monday Night Raw.
No, I'd love to see her and like Rhea go at it, man.
Yeah, dude. And we've seen that before, and I want to see it again. And her and Io Sky, or her and Lyra again. There's her and Becky. There's so many names. Her and Bailey again. So many names on Raw that I could see her going and facing off against. I think it's maybe time that we get a little bit of a shakeup for Nia Jax. But let's talk about some rumors, Matt. Let's talk about some rumors that we've been hearing in the rumor mill.
Let's talk about first. I don't know this is on your rumor list, but let's talk about the fact that Cody Rhodes wasn't there last night, and he was supposed to be. Or I don't know if he was supposed to be.
I have it on my sheet. Jokingly call out Matt about Cody not being on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Because we may have to start checking your sources about where you're getting this information from.
Look, you go look around. Other people talking about how he was supposed to be there, and that's why I was wondering if this ties into maybe your discussion about The Rock and the heel turn for Cody, and whether or not Cody wants to do it or how it goes down.
That is in the rumors I have. So not in terms of Cody not being there, but yeah, what you're I'm assuming about to say, sorry, but against Cody Rhodes being against the idea of, or a lot of people, at least internally, maybe Cody included, being against the idea of Cody turning heel, which is apparently The Rock's idea.
Right.
Apparently The Rock wants Cody to turn heel, and maybe Cody, maybe not, but apparently a lot of people backstage are against that idea because he is the top babyface and sells a lot of damn merch. He makes the company a lot of money, and maybe as a heel he still does, but maybe not.
But that's the rumor, is why he wasn't there last night, is because they are now not certain what his story is.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see. But that is one of the rumors. That is one of the rumors in terms of, because I hadn't seen any reports that he was going to be there on the 16th. And I kind of just flew with it. But if he was scheduled to, and that all changed, I'm curious where they go now and what the initial plan is. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, because we don't know when Cody's coming back now. So that's really just kind of a wait and see. In terms of the validity of those rumors, I don't know. They're rumors, so we don't know. And we don't know who's liking and disliking what backstage. All we can do is wait and see on that one. But one thing that we're fairly positive is coming is the next Evolution pay-per-view, or PLE. Apparently we are getting the Evolution PLE, and one of the big rumored matches that we've seen teased a lot is Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair, apparently being one of the matches. Additionally, on top of all that, apparently the company is focused on getting upwards of 7 to 8 matches and a battle royal thrown onto the card to ensure that all of the women in the company have a chance to shine and be a part of that spotlight. So, I mean, yeah, in terms of rumors, I could see this being legitimate. I mean, we've all been talking about the Evolution PLE happening at sometime this summer. And yeah, I mean, if it's going to be a big PLE, I could definitely see 7 or 8 matches or 9 or 10 matches happening. And maybe that's a quick video idea coming up for us soon, of like booking the Evolution PLE way too early.
Yeah,
that could be something fun that we could do. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know where to go with this instead, other than like the obvious question of, are you excited for the next Evolution PLE? Because I think we all are.
I know. I think yeah. Like, as I've been saying, the women's roster is the strongest it's ever been. So to get a night, especially because right now it's looking like this Saturday night main event may be like a male-lution. You know what I'm saying? And like there's not going to be a single women's match on the card, so it's not like the women don't have to put up with this all the time. So those people who are like crying foul, like, but where are my dudes at? You know, I mean, whatever, you know, it's like, look, the women, this is a testament to how strong this women's division is, between Lyra and Becky and Rhea and Io and Tiffy and Nia and Jade and Naomi and Roxanne Perez and Julia and Stephanie Valquer. And God, the fact that I can name that many female wrestlers is just,
and you could still name 10 to 20 more that are excellent.
You could. You know, I'm probably got like 3 more left. You know, like Alexa Bliss. You know, I don't know. Did I say Becky Lynch yet?
Did you say Charlotte Flair? I mean, there's another one.
Charlotte. You know, did I say Bailey? I don't know. So you know, but the fact that I can name that many female wrestlers, having only been back into wrestling the short amount of time that I've been, just tells you how deep this women's division is. And there's so many matches. Like we just said, I want to see Rhea and Nia go at it. Evolution could be a great spot for that. Maybe, you know, I want to see Io go at it with Lyra, or I want to see, you know, I want to see Becky and Charlotte. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, let's throw a little rumor out there, because from what I've been seeing is that the main event of that is probably going to be Rhea and Io for that title.
See, the only thing that I've got is, are you really going to let that cook that long? Because right now, it's not going to take.
What if Rhea wins Money in the Bank? Rhea could be in Money in the Bank, win it, and then because they've become friends at this point, she could be like, all right, Io, look, we've been going back and forth for months, and like, I've inadvertently cost you matches. You've inadvertently gotten me attacked backstage. We've traded the title. We've helped each other out. This has to end. And I'm going to cash in my Money in the Bank against you at Evolution in the main event. And I'm going to take that title off of you as friends, and you can leave it at a good spot. And if you're over Io's reign, you can throw it back on Rhea. And if you want Io to keep it, cool, let her keep it. But then you can amicably split these two and have them go their own ways, because I think the men's Money in the Bank is going to hang out for a while, but the women's Money in the Bank could be gone that quick. She could tell Io before Money in the Bank, if I win this, I'm cashing it in on you, and I'll give you the opportunity to know when I'm doing it, but I am coming after you. So
no, for sure. I'm sure it'll probably go down that way if Rhea wins the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I could definitely see her being totally upfront, like, just so you know, I'm coming. I don't know when, but I'm coming,
Yeah, and last thing on the Evolution rumors, one of the rumored matches is Charlotte versus Jade Cargill. Any interest there? It's like
No, I don't know. I mean, not right now, because that storyline, I mean, just pure wrestling, yes,
Yeah.
But storyline wise, I don't see any reason for it.
Well, they've teased it a few times where they've had some, like, they've run into each other backstage and they just look at each other up and down. And then I think there was something even like post WrestleMania, like after Charlotte had lost, where Jade like kind of gave her because she's like, imagine losing at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's kind of looking down on Charlotte, and Charlotte's like, who are you? Like, I'm a 14-time world champion. Who are you? And so I could see it getting there eventually. But the good thing is that this PLE is another 2 months out if it's even happening.
Right. No. Right now, they've got it tentatively booked for July 13th. So,
yeah.
And a Saturday night main event on July 12th. So here's a question.
That's a busy weekend.
Has anybody ever wrestled 2 nights in a row? I'm sure it's happening.
Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns last year.
Because God, I'd love to see like some sort of weird match in Saturday night main event that leads into Evolution.
But no, there have definitely been multiple matches in terms of like consecutive nights. But I mean, we even had like WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan beat Triple H in the opener of WrestleMania 30 to make it into the main event, where he went on to beat Randy Orton and Batista in a triple threat match for the titles. So we've definitely seen stuff like that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. We definitely could see something.
Then if I'm booking it, and that's the way I'm going to have those two events back to back, I would find a way to have some sort of continuation from Saturday night main event into Evolution. So some like women's whatever tag match or fatal 4-way. But I mean, is there ever a fatal 4-way where 2 people come out of it? It's like, the first 2 people to get pinned. It's like,
there's a limit. They would never leave it to open-ended to where there's multiple people to win. You have to have one winner, but there could be an elimination style like fatal 4-way or something like that, where it's last person standing.
Where like there's 2 spots for a fatal 4-way at Evolution, and we're going to find out from a fatal 4-way at Saturday night main event.
They would just put them in 2 separate qualifying matches, right. I'm sure. Because the thing is, you don't ever want to leave a match you don't want to leave a match open-ended. At best, you maybe put them in a tag team match against each other and then have like that, like the winning tag team makes it into the fatal 4-way or something like that. But they would never do like at least in my opinion, they would never do a match where it's open-ended and there's not a real person to stand tall.
Winner.
Yeah,
I got you.
If anything, they would just separately put them in the match in whatever ways, like qualifying matches or whatever. And then they would probably just do the like tag team trope where it's like, these 2 women don't like each other, but we'll force them to work together tonight, to see what happens.
Right. That's why I was saying like a tag team then, or something like you said, that leads into final 2 spots in a fatal 4-way or something. I don't know. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see some sort of continuation like that if you're going to put them back to back like that, So
yeah,
that's just where I'm at.
Last rumor before we get out of here. Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer points out that CM Punk has been replaced by Seth Rollins in the Riyadh Season Night of Champions promotional video, which is leading more speculation that CM Punk's status is up in the air for the show in Saudi Arabia. Now, look, a big thing behind this is that while CM Punk was in AEW, he made a comment about someone taking blood money for wrestling in Saudi Arabia, but then recently has come out and said that I never said I'd be against wrestling in Saudi Arabia or something along those lines. And a lot of people think like, oh, man, the money must be really good. The money must be really good.
Let's think about who we're talking about here again. CM Punk. What's he here for? He's not here to make friends, you know. He's here for the money. So I'm sure he said that about Saudi Arabia, and then maybe WWE said, we got an event in Saudi Arabia. We want you to whatever headline it or something. And he's like, yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. And maybe Saudi Arabia got wind of it. It's like, no, he said he'd never come here. He didn't want, maybe Saudi Arabia, you know,
maybe so
knocked him off the card. Maybe it's not that CM took himself off the card, but maybe Saudi Arabia took him off. They're like, we don't want him. Bring us the man, the myth, the legend. Bring us the visionary, the revolutionary. We want Seth freaking Rollins. You know, maybe
and I'm sure maybe Seth was always penciled in, but maybe it's just like no, if he doesn't want to be here, take him off the card and take him off the promo. Replace him on that promo with Seth because we don't want anything to do. And maybe it is. Maybe it is a little bit of that.
So I'm curious who instigated it. Was it on Punk's part where he's like, look, you guys know I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia. You know I don't believe in that. Maybe he does have principles, you know. Yeah. But the fact that they put him on the promo, I would assume that they asked him before that, or there was discussion of some kind before that.
I would assume because he wasn't there last year, or he wasn't there for their last show. And I mean, he has been very vocal about his support in the LGBTQIA plus community and in marginalized communities. He's voiced his support. And so he has definitely said out loud that he has a problem with the way Saudi Arabia does things. So, I mean, is there speculation that something is up in the air about his status? Yeah, I think his status was always up in the air. I think that it was always assumed that he wouldn't be there. So now the fact that it is up in the air leads me to believe that there's even more of a chance that he will be there. Because I think it was before now a legitimate. You
think he will be there? You think he's?
I think that if there is speculation as opposed to us saying definitely no, then yeah, I think there's more. I think that just by mathematics, that shows me there's more of a chance that he's going to be there than there was a month ago. Because I think a month ago it was a definite no, and now I think there's swirlings or whirlings around that maybe he could, and maybe it's like it went from 100% no down to like a 98% no. Maybe there's not a lot of problems that money can't fix. And if Saudi comes calling saying like, hey, look, he's going to be there, but we want this and this and this in return. And WWE's like, okay, throw in an extra $5 million and you got it. And all of a sudden CM Punk is there. So I don't know.
That's why I'm wondering if it's Saudi saying that they don't want him there. That's why I'm wondering if that's what changed it. Because I don't feel like CM changed the promo. I feel like CM wants to be there. I feel like.
And we may never know. And we may never know. And that's why this is a rumor. And that's going to wrap up the rumors for this show because that's all we had. But yeah, so I think a great episode of SmackDown. I think that Saturday night's main event, while it's a little bit of again, we got a lot of PLEs, if you want to call this a PLE, in a very short cycle. And I think that for what it's worth, it's being built pretty well. I'm excited for the matches for it. And I think it's going to be a fun match. Let's get a women's match on the card, please. That's all I ask. Let's get a women's match on the card.
Like I said, and I don't know which one now that you've done Tiffy and Nia, unless you do like a. Well, wait, when are Jade and Naomi have a match announced yet? Do they haven't?
No, because Jade's in a triple threat match next week for Money in the Bank qualifiers.
Oh, that's right. She's doing the Money in the Bank. So I don't know. So, I mean,
we might not see it. We might not see it. I think we both said no to that. Yeah, we both said no to it being on the card. So we're both good on that so far. And you were right about Fraxium and Profits not being on the card. I was wrong on that one. But I will say we did also go. We went 50-50 on that because you also thought that Tiffy and Nia was going to be on the card.
Like
I said no, but I thought it was going to be later, to be fair. So, yeah. But all right, that's going to do it for us on this edition. I think we talked about this a little bit beforehand. Now that it's the end of the pod, if you're still here, you care about this stuff. But we talked about before the pod, kind of staying away from episodes of Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews. And I think we're just going to kind of make this the TK pod of sorts. That's just going to all be encapsulated in one playlist. So it's easier for you to find and keep up and us to keep up with episode orders. So we're not like 20 episodes of Raw and only 4 episodes of SmackDown, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's going to do it for us here at TK Wrestling. Matt, you got anything before we get out?
Like I said, Revival came in. This is the big all-in-one complete. Like I said, this is the show. I think it's going to be on the Sci-Fi Network that CM Punk has a part in. Have no idea yet. Like I said, it just came in. Hopefully it's a good read, and hopefully Punk has a good part because he's the only person who doesn't have a character name. On the IMDb or whatever. So
maybe he'll just be himself.
His role is a secret. So excited to see who CM Punk is playing, but since I don't know any characters in the book yet, I don't know which one I would envision him to be. Maybe once I read it, I'll be like, oh, dude,
he's got to be so-and-so.
That's got to be him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we look forward to you reading that, and maybe we'll have a video on you reviewing that and what you think Punk is going to be and what you think he's going to do in that show. That would be cool, I think. But yeah, I think I'm good here until next time. Look, we got
still Raw, baby. We got Raw in a couple nights. Here we go.
Yeah, hey, big OKC Thunder fan. OKC Denver Game 7 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, big Game 7 tomorrow night.
Shea Legacy game. Let's go to the Western Conference Finals and take out the Timberwolves because I think this is our season. I think we're going to get it done.
If OKC wins, there will be a new champion. A guy like one of the new bloods going to win a ring. One of the new bloods, because that means all the old bloods. The last old blood still in is Joker. Joker's the last one, right?
Yeah, he's the only, like, in terms of like
he's already
key
got a
players.
Ring.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure there are some role players on other teams that I can't think of off the top of my head that might have a one or two, but in terms of like superstars that have won a championship recently, yeah, he's the last one. So fingers crossed. We need, and I mean, not just because new blood, but I need Shea to walk away with that, that championship this season, and I need him to win MVP because I got a nice little bet on him to win MVP. So that'd be nice. I placed that way earlier in the season. I got love for my boy. I believe in him. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us here at TK Wrestling. And until next time, we're out.